Welcome to the deep dive. If you're a curious learner looking for a shortcut to being well-informed, well, you are in the exact right place.
Absolutely.
Today, our mission is to settle a highly practical, honestly kind of incredibly modern dilemma.
Yeah, it's one of those things you really hope never happens to you.
Right, but if you live and drive in Los Angeles, you really need to know the answer. The question is, if you lose or break your car key, should you call a mobile locksmith or should you head straight to the dealership?
It sounds like a super simple choice on the surface, I mean.
You think so?
Right. But making the wrong call in a moment of panic can easily cost you hundreds of dollars. It can literally ruin your entire day.
Exactly.
It's a decision that requires a bit of insider knowledge about how automotive security actually works now.
And to get you that insider knowledge, we have pulled together a massive stack of sources for this one. We're looking at professional locksmith training manuals, pricing data from this old house, official FTC scam warnings.
The scan stuff is wild, by the way.
Oh, it's crazy. We also have transcripts from undercover news investigations and even some real-life Reddit threads from people who, unfortunately, learned the hard way.
Yeah, those Reddit threads are stressful just to read.
They really are. Reading through these sources, that feeling of sudden panic when you realize your keys are just gone, it's so universal.
It's the worst feeling in the world.
Which is exactly why you need a contingency plan in place before it happens. And that actually brings us to the sponsor of today's deep dive, West Point Locksmith.
A literal lifesaver in these situations.
Truly, if you are anywhere in LA, you'll want to lock this number in your phone right now. It's 310-295-4040. They serve all of Los Angeles with fast, reliable, 5-star service.
They're fast.
Very fast. Whether you're dealing with an emergency lockout, you need a car key replacement right on the spot, or you want to upgrade your home to smart locks, they are available 24/7. Again, that's 310-295-4040.
Having a reliable contact like that is honestly the ultimate shield against the anxiety of these situations. Because when we look at the sources, particularly those Reddit threads you mentioned, the scenarios people find themselves in are incredibly intense.
Let's actually use one of those Reddit stories to set the scene for everyone listening.
Let's do it.
Okay, so imagine you're at a crowded beach in LA. Let's say it's the 4th of July. Shoulder-to-shoulder people everywhere.
The absolute worst time to lose something.
Right. You pack up your towel, you reach into your bag, and your keys are gone.
Oh, no.
Swallowed by the sand, dropped on the boardwalk, who knows. You are completely stranded. Your car is locked. Your apartment key was on the exact same ring. And to top it all off, this specific Reddit user had 2 cats at home waiting to be fed.
Oh, the pressure.
The panic sets in immediately. What is your very first move?
In that heightened emotional state,
Right.
you're just trying to get your life back on track, right?
Yeah.
So people typically default to one of two extremes.
Okay, what are they?
Well, they either assume the dealership is the only safe official option, or they hire the very first result they see on a quick internet search, which, as we'll get into later, carries some massive hidden risks.
Okay, let's unpack that first extreme. The dealership. Because to understand why people think they have to go to the dealer, we need to look at what you're actually losing when you drop your keys in the sand.
Yeah, we aren't just talking about a jagged piece of cut brass anymore.
Not at all.
The evolution of the car key over the last couple of decades is a huge factor in why this dilemma even exists today. Looking at the insights from the Mr. Locksmith training videos in our sources, the industry has fundamentally shifted.
Right, it used to be you could take a metal key to the hardware store, slide it into a duplicator, and have a spare cut for, what, $2?
Exactly. But today, practically every car on the road uses transponder keys.
Now, I saw the word transponder a lot in these manuals. Can you break down what that actually means for the average driver?
Sure. A transponder key has a tiny embedded microchip hidden right inside the plastic head of the key.
Like actually inside the plastic.
Yep. And it doesn't even need a battery. When you put the key into the ignition, an electromagnetic ring around the ignition cylinder energizes that tiny chip.
Oh, wow.
The chip then sends a highly encrypted cryptographic handshake to the car's immobilizer system. If the car's computer doesn't recognize that specific digital signature, it literally cuts off the fuel pump or the starter.
So the mechanical metal part could turn the lock perfectly, but the engine simply will not start.
Exactly. The car basically thinks it's being stolen.
And that includes those prox keys, right? The push-to-start systems where you just walk up to your car, pull the handle, sit down, and push a button without ever taking the fob out of your pocket.
Yeah, proximity keys. They're constantly broadcasting a low-frequency signal to antennas hidden all around the car. It is incredibly convenient.
And great anti-theft security, I'd imagine.
Fantastic security.
Yeah.
But that complexity makes replacing them a highly technical process. You can't just grind a new physical key anymore. You have to plug into the car's computer and introduce the new microchip to the vehicle's network.
Which naturally leads to a bit of skepticism, right?
Oh, sure.
If a mobile locksmith can just show up at the beach and program a new key, aren't they essentially hacking my car? Like, is it actually safe to let a third party tap into my vehicle's computer like that?
That is a very common and honestly very valid concern. But it isn't hacking in the malicious sense.
Okay.
Legitimate automotive locksmiths use highly specialized, commercially available diagnostic tools. These tools plug into the exact same OBD2 port under your dashboard that a mechanic uses.
Right, the one they use for emissions testing and stuff.
Exactly. They purchase secure tokens or access codes from the car manufacturers to officially authorize the programming of a new key. So it's completely safe, legal, and totally by the book, provided you're using a licensed professional.
All right, so knowing that a new key is essentially a tiny computer, let's talk about the cost comparison. If you're standing on that beach and you decide the dealership is your best bet, what is that going to look like?
According to the pricing data we pulled from this old house, the dealership route is going to hurt your wallet.
How bad?
Going to a dealer for a transponder key or a proximity fob replacement typically runs anywhere from $75 to $400, depending on the make and model.
Wow.
And if your physical ignition cylinder is damaged or needs to be rekeyed, you are looking at another $50 to $150 on top of that.
But wait, that is just the cost of the parts and the labor at the shop. How do you even get the car to the dealership? If I'm locked out of my car at the beach and it's in park, I can't exactly drive it there.
That is the hidden cost, the one people completely forget until they are stranded.
Yep.
Dealerships almost universally require the vehicle to be physically present on their service lot to program the new key. They will not send a technician to you.
So you have to call a tow truck.
You have to call a tow truck.
And not just any tow truck. If your car is locked and stuck in park, they can't just drag it. They have to send a flatbed and put dollies under the wheels, right?
Exactly. So you are paying for a specialized tow in Los Angeles traffic, waiting in the sun for an hour or more for them to arrive, riding with them to the dealership, and then sitting in a crowded service lounge drinking stale coffee while they try to fit you into an already packed schedule.
And your entire day is gone. Plus, remember, you still have 2 hungry cats waiting at home.
You're paying a premium in money and an enormous premium in time and stress.
Right.
This is where we contrast the dealership experience with the mobile auto locksmith advantage. The sources highlight that a standard car lockout by a locksmith typically costs between $60 to $150.
That's way better.
But the most crucial difference, the absolute game changer, is that they bring the entire shop directly to you.
Okay, yeah. I was looking at a walkthrough of an auto locksmith's van from a source called Fox Locks, and I was completely blown away. It is not just a guy with a Slim Jim and a hammer.
No, not at all.
It is a rolling, high-tech laboratory. But I have to ask, how do they actually create a key from scratch while parked next to you on the street?
It's a really fascinating combination of mechanical skill and digital technology. Inside those vans, they carry advanced programming tablets, like the Autel or the Smart Pro.
Oh.
These are the machines that plug into your car's diagnostic port to sync the new microchip. But before they can program the chip, they obviously need the physical key to turn the ignition.
Right, to actually switch the car on.
To cut that key, they use automated computerized milling machines right there in the back of the van, like the SEC E9.
And the sources mention these machines can cut all different types of keys, laser keys, Tibby keys, barrel keys. What do those terms actually mean for the average driver?
It just shows the versatility of the equipment. A standard key has those jagged teeth cut along the top edge, like your house key.
Sure.
But a laser key, which is really common on newer Hondas or Chevys, has a smooth, winding groove milled right down the flat center of the blade. It looks almost like a little river carved into the metal.
Oh, I've seen those.
Yeah. And a tippy key is even weirder. It looks like a cylindrical metal rod with little angled cuts at the very tip. You see those a lot on older Jaguars and Fords.
And the van can cut all of those.
The machines of these vans can precisely carve any of those styles from a blank piece of metal in about 3 minutes.
That's insane. But wait, how do they know what shape to cut if my original key is buried in the sand?
Ah, that is where the specialized physical tools come in. The modern standard is a device called a Lishi tool.
Lishi.
Lishi, L-I-S-H-I. Looks a bit like a metal popsicle stick with a little sliding arm attached to it.
Okay.
A skilled locksmith inserts the leashy tool directly into your car's door lock. By feeling the tiny mechanical pins inside the lock with that sliding arm, they can gently manipulate them to pick the lock open and simultaneously decode the exact numerical depth of each pin.
So they're essentially reading the lock's DNA just by feeling it.
Exactly. They read the pin depths, punch those numbers into the computerized cutting machine in the van, and the machine mills a perfectly fresh, factory-spec key.
Without breaking anything.
They don't have to disassemble your door or cause any damage whatsoever. They cut the key, plug their tablet into your dashboard, sync the chip, and you are ready to drive home to feed those cats.
That is just incredible efficiency, and it perfectly highlights why having a mobile lab on call is so critical. This is exactly what our sponsor, West Point Locksmith, provides.
Absolutely.
If you save 310-295-4040 in your contacts, you are essentially carrying that rolling, high-tech laboratory in your pocket. No waiting for a flatbed tow truck, no sitting in a dealership lobby. They are mobile, highly professional, and they come straight to your location in LA 24/7.
It's just smart to have it saved.
It really is. Make sure you have 310-295-4040 saved under Locksmith so you never have to panic.
Preparation truly is everything. However, to be perfectly objective and thorough with our sources, we do need to address a very specific scenario from the training manuals where calling a mobile locksmith might actually hit a roadblock.
Right, because we have to ask, is there ever a situation where you are genuinely forced to endure the dealership and the towing?
Yes. Within the industry, it is widely known as the German exception.
Okay, the German exception. What makes German cars the exception to this high-tech van magic?
Well, while those modern locksmith programmers we talked about can handle about 99% of the vehicles on the road, high-end German luxury manufacturers, specifically BMW, Mercedes, and often newer VWs or Audis, operate on an entirely different level of security.
How so?
Their immobilizer systems use incredibly complex, rolling cryptographic codes. To program a new key for a modern Mercedes, the programming tool often have to ping a proprietary server located in Munich just to get authorization.
Wow. And I imagine the manufacturers don't just hand out access to those servers for free.
Not at all. The equipment and the annual software subscriptions required to access those German networks are astronomically expensive. We're talking upwards of $10,000 just for the specialized gear.
Just to program the key.
Just for the gear. So for an independent mobile locksmith, it simply doesn't make financial sense to invest that kind of money if they only get called out for a lost Mercedes key maybe twice a year.
That makes total sense. So if you drive a high-end luxury German car in LA, the local mobile tech might just have to politely decline the job.
Precisely. In that specific scenario, you likely will be forced to pay for the specialized tow truck, endure the dealership wait times, and pay their premium prices simply because the independent market is locked out of the software.
That is a crucial caveat to keep in mind.
Definitely.
But let's pivot to something a bit darker. Because reading through these sources, the locksmith industry has a wild, predatory aspect to it that you absolutely need to understand to avoid getting ripped off when you are vulnerable.
You were referring to the phantom locksmiths.
Yes, the phantom locksmiths. The official FTC warnings, the Wikipedia breakdowns of locksmith scams, and this incredible undercover sting operation by Channel 13 News.
It's a huge problem.
The level of deception is staggering. If you don't know what to look for, you can easily be taken for hundreds of dollars.
And if we break down the anatomy of the scam, it almost always begins with digital manipulation. When you're stranded at the beach and panic searching for a solution, you type "locksmith near me" into your phone.
Right, like anyone would.
Criminal networks exploit this by creating hundreds of fake Google Maps listings. They use the addresses of empty dirt lots, fast food restaurants, or completely unrelated businesses just to appear local.
So you see a pin on the map that says they're only a mile away. But when you call that number, where is it actually ringing?
It routes to a centralized call center, often located in another state entirely, or sometimes even overseas.
Wow.
The person answering the phone is not a locksmith. They are a dispatcher, highly trained in psychological baiting. They will quote you an unbelievably low price to ease your anxiety. Something like, we can send someone out for just $15 or $29 to arrive.
But there is always a catch, right? That little phrase they tag onto the end.
Always. $15 up.
The classic bait and switch. And that undercover sting operation by Channel 13 captured this exact tactic perfectly.
They really did.
They set up a house with hidden cameras and called one of these suspicious listings. The dispatcher promised a low starting price. After making the undercover homeowner wait for 2 hours, which obviously builds desperation, the quote-unquote locksmith finally arrives.
And pay close attention to the visual red flags when they arrive in these situations. An unmarked vehicle. No company logo, no uniform, no clear identification badge.
Just a guy in street clothes.
Exactly. This is entirely by design. It reduces accountability and makes them harder to track down later. When this particular scammer walked up to the door, he took one look at a totally standard residential lock and immediately misidentified it.
Yeah, he told the homeowner it was a commercial grade or high security lock that couldn't be picked.
Which, according to the veteran locksmiths who reviewed the footage in our sources, was a complete lie. They said it was a basic, off-the-shelf lock that any first-year apprentice could pick in about 5 seconds.
But the scammer in the video fumbled around with his tools for exactly 52 seconds, claimed it was impossible, and immediately pulled out a heavy-duty power drill to destroy the lock.
Think of it like a doctor suggesting amputation for a minor paper cut.
Right.
A legitimate, highly trained professional uses tools like those leashy picks we discussed earlier to gently decode and bypass a lock like a puzzle without leaving a scratch. Scammers go straight for the drill for a very specific reason.
Which is what? Why are they so eager to break the door?
2 reasons.
Ugh.
First, drilling requires absolutely zero skill. Anyone can pull a trigger and destroy a cylinder.
Yeah.
Second, and more importantly, it artificially creates an immediate emergency.
Because now your door won't lock.
Exactly. Once your lock is a pile of metal shavings, your door cannot be secured. They have now forced you into a position where you have to buy a replacement lock directly from the trunk of their car. Usually a cheap, low-quality piece of hardware that they mark up by like 500%.
That is infuriating. In the Channel 13 video, he ended up charging her $185 for destroying a perfectly good lock.
It's such a ripoff.
And the Reddit sources were full of these nightmares. People being charged over $200 for a flimsy replacement lock you could buy at a hardware store for $12. And the scammers are incredibly aggressive when it comes time to pay the bill.
Very aggressive. And another massive red flag is the payment method. Legitimate businesses take credit cards. Scammers will almost always insist on cash or a direct peer-to-peer transfer app like Zelle or Venmo.
Because if you use a credit card, you can dispute the charge with your bank once you realize you've been scammed. If you send the money on Zelle, that cash has gone into the ether. There is no recourse.
Precisely. So to synthesize these warning signs for you, the listener, be incredibly skeptical of unrealistically low quotes like $15. Watch out for technicians arriving in unmarked sedans wearing street clothes.
Good rule of thumb.
If they refuse to provide a written estimate before they lay a finger on your car or your house, stop them immediately. And if their very first instinct is to reach for a drill instead of a set of specialized lockpicks, you are almost certainly dealing with a scammer.
Okay, so how do we bring this all back to our listener right here in Los Angeles? Because the sources point out that California actually has a specific legal framework designed to protect you from these exact phantom networks.
Yes, California is actually quite rigorous about this. Under the California Business and Professions Code, specifically Section 6980.17, the state heavily regulates the locksmith trade.
Okay, how does that work?
To legally operate as a locksmith in California, a technician must undergo an extensive criminal background check through both the Department of Justice and the FBI. Furthermore, they have to pay substantial licensing fees to the Bureau of Security Investigative Services, or BSIS.
So that is your ultimate trump card as a consumer. Before a technician even touches your car door, politely but firmly ask to see their physical California state locksmith license.
Yes, absolutely do this.
A legitimate, hardworking professional will be happy, even proud, to pull it out and show you. A scammer from an out-of-state call center network will start making excuses, claim they left it in the shop, or simply get defensive. If they can't produce the license, walk away.
It is the absolute easiest and most effective way to filter out the bad actors immediately.
Okay, we have covered a massive amount of ground today. Let's summarize the mission of this deep dive. If you find yourself stranded on that beach with your keys lost in the sand and your cats waiting at home, what is the play?
What's the bottom line?
For the vast majority of drivers in Los Angeles, calling a reputable, licensed mobile auto locksmith is going to be your absolute best bet. It saves you from the nightmare logistics of towing an immobilized car, it saves you hours of waiting in a dealership lounge, and it will very often beat the dealership's pricing.
Without a doubt.
The mobile van comes to the beach, cuts the key, programs the chip, and gets you home. The only major exception to this rule is if you drive a high-end German luxury car, in which case the dealership might be your only route.
The overarching lesson here is that the trick to surviving this dilemma is doing your research before the disaster strikes.
Yeah.
You do not want to be desperately scrolling through search results, vulnerable to scam networks, while you're panicking on a boardwalk. You want to have a vetted, licensed professional already saved in your phone.
Which brings me to our final sponsor shout-out. Do yourself a massive favor the second this deep dive is over. Pull out your phone and program West Point Locksmith into your contacts. Their number is 310-295-4040.
Let's do it right now.
Right now. Having a 5-star, fully licensed, reliable LA professional on speed dial means if you ever lose your keys, you aren't gambling with phantom scammers or negotiating with tow truck drivers. You are making one simple call to 310-295-4040, and a fully equipped mobile laboratory is coming straight to you 204/7.
Taking 30 seconds to save that number is the smartest preventative step you can take. But, looking at the industry trends from our sources, especially the projections for 2025 and beyond, it makes you wonder what the next evolution of this dilemma will actually look like.
No, how so?
We are rapidly moving toward biometric access and AI-powered vehicle systems.
Right, like cars that unlock by scanning your fingerprint on the door handle or using facial recognition.
Or relying entirely on a secure smartphone app via Bluetooth. It is fascinating, but it raises a completely new set of questions.
Like what?
Well, what happens to the traditional automotive locksmith when your physical car key is entirely replaced by your own fingerprint?
That's a good point.
If a hacker intercepts your app's signal, or your car's internal battery dies and the biometric scanner completely fails, who is coming to save you at the beach?
Wow.
Will you be calling a traditional locksmith with a leashy tool and a mechanical milling machine? Or will you be calling a specialized cybersmith who shows up with a laptop, an encryption key override, and a background in IT security?
A cybersmith.
The line between physical hardware security and cybersecurity is blurring incredibly fast. It is definitely something to think about the next time you casually walk up to your push-to-start car.
A cybersmith? That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But given how fast these keys have evolved from simple metal to microchips, it is probably already happening.
I wouldn't be surprised.
All right, that is going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the complex, high-tech world of car keys, dealerships, and locksmith. We hope you feel a little more prepared for the unexpected bumps in the road. Stay curious, keep learning, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.